Chi Nation, we're going on a tour of the downstairs headquarters here in Indianapolis. I've got Davis Millard with me, and he is going to give us a quick tour. Davis is the Director of Risk Management, a Kansas State alum, and a loyal donor to the Delta Educational Foundation. Before we do that, quick update, 129,972, 336 donations. We can still have opportunities for matching gifts this evening. And the chapters in the top spot, we're still looking at Embry-Riddle in the #1 spot, Oklahoma, Ball State, Georgia Tech, LSU, Texas, Augusta, Michigan, Georgia Southern, Illinois, and Ohio State ran it out in the top 10. So please go online, make your gift at deltachi.org/Founders Day. We're looking for gifts to help make a big difference in the lives of our Delta Chi members. So Davis, I'm excited to see you downstairs. Never seen you downstairs at headquarters, my first time.
Yeah, absolutely. So the upstairs has some space for collaboration, but so does down here. But this is really, we'll take a look at the museum, and I know you all checked out the movie theater as well. So we'll start here on the lower level with the founders, the cutouts of the 11 men who started Delta Chi, and the convention chairs as well. And so these founders sit down here and kind of welcome you to the lower level. We have some other staff members that work down here, 3 in particular, and then we'll see some spaces as well. But we'll start in the office of our executive director, Jared. So he has a nice space in here, and I believe he's in here. Working.
Hey! Happy Founders Day!
Happy Founders Day! Welcome in. This is it. This is where I do it all. This is one of the most prized possessions. The Delta Chi flag with all of the living AAs have signed it. And so moving forward, tradition will be that all our international presidents and AAs sign the flag. Patrick Alderdice signed it just after his election. There on the far right by the Chi. So exciting, but yeah, nothing special.
I think it's amazing that Jared has his bid to join Delta Chi framed in here, as well as his shingle and some other things, and his coin collection as well.
Definitely remember the day Brandon Heinrich signed that and gave it to me, and of course have kept it ever since.
That is really cool. The fact that you have that and it did get crumbled up somewhere and that it preserved.
Yeah, I always kept it with my shingle, and then when I framed my shingle, went ahead and framed that as well, just because I knew moving so many times over the years it would get destroyed. But obviously not a big card. We used to do the letters, which I thought were really cool. And Brandon Heinrichs was the Rust chairman, but the president was Carl Grendel.
No way.
So Carl signed my big card as well. So I'm really proud of that.
That's really neat. For those of you that don't know, Carl worked as assistant executive director under Ray Galbraith for a long time, and that's what you guys were talking about earlier today. Is that tenure of Central Missouri guys that have worked on staff?
Yeah,
it's really
pretty
neat.
cool. And I will tell you, I did take the Which Founder Are You challenge that was out there today.
Yeah.
Myron McKee Crandall is who I was, but I'd also point out that on my PR form, I do not encourage anyone to do what I did. Apparently, I thought it would be funny for me to put that Myron McKee Crandall was my hero. So look, 20-some years later, here we are. I'm taking the quiz, Myron McKee Crandall, and my PR form reflects that as well. So very exciting.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
Well,
is-
enjoy the tour.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for hosting us here today.
Oh, of course.
So we'll continue on, and we'll go down here at the very end of the hallway. We'll start here as well with some magazines with some of our brothers on the covers, whether it be Time Magazine, People Magazine, different things that feature our Delta Chi brothers on the covers of magazines. And so wanted to have a space down here to highlight those members for that publicity that they received.
So anybody that shows up on a cover of a magazine, they can send it in here, and if it's a major magazine, that would be something we would want to see.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of space there to add some more as well. So we get things sent in to us here quite frequently. So the other two offices are down here, our director of meeting events. My office is down here as well. And we'll kind of move to the very end of the hallway here. And Peter, you might know a little more than I do about this wall here, because this is our space that's dedicated to Marge Lee, who worked at the fraternity for quite some time. And this billboard, or corkboard,
Yes.
I think you can share more about this than I can.
Yeah, so Marge was the secretary basically for Delta Chi for 40 years, and all of the staff members had to get a picture, right? We had to have a picture for whether it was a website or whatever brochure. So she collected all of those. So all of the staff members that she ever did, and if you kind of zoom in here, I could point out some guys that, here's Eric Kerstetter right here, was regent for Region 8. Is the CRO for Drummond. There's Carl Grindle, we talked about a second ago. Let's see here. Oh, there's Joe Burak from Michigan chapter. He started the Georgia Southern chapter. Let's see here. Reed Davis, ABT president for App State right now. Here, Bill Tallman right here at Miami. Dr. Bill Tallman now. John Ziegler, he's our vice president for the foundation. Stephen Meyer over at Kansas. Matt Killingsworth, he was here earlier today. Kansas State guy with you. There I am. Rusty Williams. Let's see here. Here's our AA right here. Patrick Alderdice. It's a great picture of him. Phil Yang. There's the DD. Mark Sexton right there. And then you guys, we got some older stuff here. I've seen his picture on here before. I'm looking for John Micah. I don't see it jumping out at me right now, but that's what this is.
I know that we do have a House of Representatives congressional record from Brother Micah honoring Marge in the state of Florida.
Yeah, he always took care of Delta Chi, and he always took care, extra good care of the staff, having been a field man himself back in the 1960s. So that's what the Marge thing was, and it was cool. It was almost kind of like a, I mean, everybody got their picture up there, but it was almost like, yeah, I made it on Margie's corkboard. So then she got to go to a bunch of conventions, which was a big deal. She was like one of the only women that ever went to a convention. So that's really, really cool that we have that here in this space.
Yep, we picked it off the wall at 14 Church Street, and here it is down here. But
It looks the same. It looks fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll move into here, and this is the library. And so there are quite a few things in here.
Cool.
This is another space for people to use as a meeting space for some of our boards, whether it be the fraternity and foundation or upstairs, barristers down here, if they're having separate meetings, but a good space for all to use. All of the PR record books, starting with the very first one, are in this room up until 2016 when the fraternity switched to digital versions.
Wow.
We also have the photos of every convention starting in 1902 in Chicago, leading all the way up to the 61st in Denver. And we're still waiting on the frame for the last one in St. Louis. But the nice thing about this room is for our brothers who were initiated before 2016 to come back, the fraternity has the ability to look up their PR number very quickly, and we can pull their personal record form, which is kind of cool to see your handwritten signature on that page from so long ago when you were initiated.
Yeah, that is really something, and that's what all of these books are. All of those records, dating all the way back, like you said, and you can see the early ones. They look like those law books of old, the red and buff. Do you have a favorite convention photo?
At least for me, whether it is the Columbus one here, my favorite is the Chicago in 1911, just because that small of a group and all of them having their hats compared to where we were just a few months ago in St. Louis and in Denver, to see how they've grown is quite something.
Yeah.
The other thing that we have in here is kind of our research center. Is some things that are sent in from chapters. So this is a UCLA scrapbook that was made that has, hand signatures for the big game in 1953 of all the brothers that made it back for that game. We also, have something submitted from Dr. Alan Brightman as well, just a coat of arms framed on some wood here, which is just cool to have a space for these things that folks are sending in. And then finally, some of the most historic memorabilia of the fraternity sits here, and we have, a signature from Peter Shermerhorn Johnson right there.
Wow.
Just a very cool thing to
That's
have
so cool.
in a space for our members to come back and look.
Look at these pictures, Jason. This is the Cornell chapter house. Looks like it's being built.
The original one.
The
yes.
original, yeah, up on the knoll.
We also have a space for all of our members and friends of the fraternity who've won the John J. Kuhn Award for service to the fraternity movement. And so a great place to highlight some of those things as well in the library.
That's really great.
The last thing I'll point out here is we don't have a member that has a ladder quite this long who's still living. But if they were at the very first convention in 1904 and made it with us to St. Louis, that would be the size. So we have a convention ladder from each convention that is put in place. And I think in a few years, we might have to get a second one for us.
Yeah, another couple decades for sure.
Yeah, so we'll move out here. We do have some space dedicated to a few things. First, some nice bronze letters as well. The bronze coat of arms donated by Mark Borelli. This used to sit in the conference room at 313 Church Street.
Okay.
And so that made the place there. And then we also have a wall highlighting our brothers who have been president of the NIC, starting with John J. Kuhn and ending here with Greg Hauser as well. So a space for those brothers who took their talents to the fraternity community as a whole.
And I used to hear, this was back in 15 years ago when I was on staff in 2007, that we were the fraternity with the most NIC presidents. I don't know if that has changed, but that was a big deal in the interfraternal movement, and we were one of those early groups that helped create the NIC back in 1910, 1911. So a lot of pride there. That's really cool.
Absolutely. The NIC started, I believe, in the 20s, and John J. Kuhn was 1923. So very early leadership from Delta Chi. And that kind of brings us to the main event, Peter. So the Delta Chi Museum, which was made possible by the generosity of our 53rd AA and now retiring AA, Aaron Otto. And this right here is kind of what we are most proud of, to have space in this building to display some of the things that 314 Church Street just couldn't display. And so Jared, our executive director, really made this one of his personal projects to design this in a way that would be congruent with everything that Delta Chi has to offer. And so stepping in here, you're able to be surrounded by Delta Chi. And so the idea was to start here on this wall in 1890 with our founders, some minutes from an 1891 meeting, and move our way around to the present time. And so this is kind of the dedication to our brothers from Cornell and the founding members.
Look, there's the preamble right there.
The first written version of the preambles there, some historical things on the Cornell house, and then just some different things as well.
Look at this. All these great ideas written down on a napkin. Right?
Yep.
That's the way great ideas still happen today. It's incredible.
And this is signed by all of the founders here: O'Malley, Whitney, Gorham, Stillman. They're all right there. So to have their signatures there is pretty cool. And then moving on to just some very odd things that we have. So Benjamin Harrison initiated into Delta Chi, the president, and a state and federal governments of the United States book of A.D. Stillman's there with his name on there. And really just talking about different eras. So 1912, a directory from 1920, one of the very first quarterlies here. And the other thing I'll point out is these are all photos of Delta Chi's that are up here on the wall. And so to see them go from black and white and then eventually get into color, you know, there are photos of brothers doing a whitewater rafting trip and doing some community service. And so for our undergraduates who visit here to look back and see, well, 1950s, these men were doing the same things that we're doing now,
Yeah.
all driven by the same mission that Delta Chi has for us. The other thing that we have here that the convention highlighted a little bit as well is this is an actual desk of Brother Myron McCree Crandall. And so his family found this in a storage unit, and the fraternity alumni raised some money to get refurbished and eventually shipped here to Indianapolis. And to have a desk of a founder in the fraternity headquarters is something pretty special.
Can you imagine sitting there working at that desk all day long?
I think I can tell you though, this is a price list from when he was practicing law, and a professional visit and consult cost $3, which today would be a steal. We might get about half a minute out of an attorney at today's rates, but to see that is pretty crazy.
That is. Wow.
We move into the 50th year of Delta Chi, and then eventually get into the 1950s with different things from different chapters as well. We also have here a badge of one of our brothers, Henry Hartsfield, and this badge was in outer space.
Oh, no way.
So that is something cool to have. And then other than the display cases, we have all of these here with all of the different jewelry of the fraternity. And this is mostly from Brother Otto's collection that he has loaned to the fraternity. But to have all of these different badges in different formats, the also cool thing about this is that some of these are submitted, whether it's a spouse of a brother who's passed away or even his children that find these things and send them into the fraternity so that we can have them on display.
Yeah, this is really great. This used to be in a really small display case at Iowa, and this is just to have the room to put these badges out and how well lit everything is, that you can get around and kind of see all angles. This is phenomenally done.
And one of the special things about this box is this is mostly under construction because we usually put the newest additions to our collection in this, particularly the collection of Brother Pat Phelan, who passed away in 2021. And to have some of his badges and some things, and also a photo of Brother Phelan, is something that we want to make sure we put.
I was just talking to a Penn State grad earlier today, Stuart Zola, and here I see a letter from a Penn State chapter brother, 1961, saying, "Here's my badge. I hope somebody else can use it." How special is that?
Yeah.
Wow. Glenn Meyer.
And really, as we move into the present time, I think we wanted to make sure when we got to this building that we paid respect to what 314 Church Street was to Delta Chi for so long, that it was that home for so many former staff like yourself and others to really be there. And so we do have the original sign that used to hang outside of 314 Church Street, in addition to the Greek letter Delta and Chi that were on the top of the house. And then finally, we have a 3D walkthrough of what 314 Church Street looked like. And so you can go all the way up into the attic as well. You can take measurements, but you can walk through what the building looked like.
That is incredible. So this is the convention photo room, and you've got all those up. We were just in that room. This is where Marge would have sat, is right over here. Look at that. That is so neat. What a smart idea to have that done. Here's the mail room. So if you were, oh gosh, there's stuff, so many things on that table.
Yep.
For expansions. This is cool. It's really thoughtful.
Absolutely. And so that kind of brings us to the end of the museum and the end of the lower level here. But the last thing I would say is that the live is great, but nothing beats actually seeing it here in person. And so the headquarters is always open Monday through Thursday. Most of the staff will work from home on Friday. So we do ask if people are coming on Friday to just let us know. But we have people drop in or passing through Indianapolis, and we're always open for tours.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much. And you're so knowledgeable. You can tell you take a lot of pride in it. So thank you for taking some time out of your day to show us
Absolutely.
and to share it with Delta Chi Nation on Founders Day.
Absolutely. Happy Founders Day.
Happy Founders Day.